Hi, welcome to the SEO podcast, Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing. My name is Chris Burris, owner of eWebStyle.
Charles Lewis, your internet marketing specialist.
Welcome back to another fun-filled edition of our podcast. This is podcast number 196. Our previous podcast
was 195.
Probably 195, I'm thinking. And the tip from that podcast is make sure your sitemap is complete and available to the Google bots.
Yeah, you want to make sure that anytime you update content, whether it's post, pages, or whatever it is on your site, if that change includes any URL changes or page structure changes or anything like that, navigation changes, make sure that your sitemap is updated and you've resubmitted that to Google Webmaster Tools. Frankly, the Bing Webmaster Tools as well. That way you can make sure that the search engines have the proper and the most current version of your sitemap.
Current version being good.
Definitely.
Well, assuming that you've been working with us or been working properly on
your... drop this sprinkle in real quick. If you're using WordPress and you're using the sitemap plugin, then guess what? It'll automatically do it for you. So
automatically updates the sitemap and submits it. So that's pretty awesome. If you have a device such as this, and I'm holding up a generic cell phone, go ahead and tweet now. What you should tweet is, if you'd be so kind,
hashtag SEO podcast. This is number 196. Be sure to tag us in it at eWebStyle. That way we can link up, follow you back, and do all this social stuff. That was a GS3 he was holding up too.
Yeah. It's not generic. Well, does the G, you're telling me the G doesn't stand for generic?
So like generic smartphone? 3?
All right, please remember we are your friendly local, that's like werewolf. We are your friendly local neighborhood top position snatchers. Where our mantra is,
don't be a douche.
Don't be a douche. Maybe we should explain that.
Yeah, so being a douche is not a good look, right? No. Anytime somebody's spamming you or sending you unsolicited emails and posting, crappy comments and all this other kind of stupid, using fake profile names and all of the stuff that happens on the internet, we call that being a douche. And so for those who don't know that, that's what being a douche is. So please don't be offended, or
we'll cover that. We're going to cover that in a second.
That's what that is. Don't be a douche.
So one of the plugins that comes with WordPress, it still comes with it. I think Askimit.
Yep.
Right. It comes with it.
Well, nope. You got to pay for it.
No, and you have to pay for it to turn it on, etc. Yeah. But it does. I think it comes in the initial install. The reason you need Askimit, it really should be called anti-douche.
Don't be a douche. Anti-douche.
Because if people weren't out there being douches, then
you wouldn't need Askimit.
You wouldn't need Askimit. So, all right. We do have a referral program. Make sure you guys take advantage of that. If you have an account or you know of an SEO account that could use a little bit of help, send it our direction. We'll make sure that you get paid.
Yes, sir.
You can do us 2 favors. There's 2 favors you can do us. One of them has 3 steps. Get onto iTunes, create an account, write a review. We're going to cover one review here in just a second. If you do write a review on iTunes, go ahead and hit us up, send us an email, podcast@e-webstyle.com. Let us know that you actually wrote a review on iTunes, and we will give you a punch in the face.
Called a patiff.
A patiff. Next, you could go to our G Plus account, our G Plus local account, and write a review there. We've made it really easy. All you have to do is go to e-webstyle.com/G
Plus
or
Google Plus.
Yes.
And that's either one, with plus being spelled out or the symbol. Just hit us up, leave a review. We so appreciate it.
Cool. All right, we do have a review. Actually, we read this gentleman's review. He wrote one on G Plus, our G Plus local. Thank you. Cheers to that. Patiff. And then he also wrote one on iTunes. Here's the one on iTunes. It's all about value and great content. 5 stars. 5 stars. This is by Paul Hill. Every episode of this podcast leaves you thinking about different ways to improve the SEO and internet marketing strategies of your website. In terms of providing valuable information to people which will actively improve the performance of their site, this podcast delivers. A must for any SEO regardless of experience. Paul Hill,
punch in the face to you, right cross, top of the head. Good punch in the face.
Hey, we did an interview this week. We did an interview with Rachel Parker. Her podcast.
Punch in the face to Rachel Parker, man. Resonance Content. They do a fabulous job over there creating content, helping people strategize and figure out what they're going to do socially or on their site. Really cool lady, woman-owned business. Check it out, resonancecontent.com, and hit her up.
So one of the reviews that we read last time was from her.
From her, yeah, I know.
Parker, yeah, Rachel Parker. So punch in the face to Rachel. She has such a nice voice. I mean, I think
Yeah,
we
it
need
makes
like
sense to be podcasting.
Yeah, exactly. At a minimum, it's a nice soothing voice.
She'd probably be really great on like national radio.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, it didn't even matter the topic.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah. And the whales were swimming across.
Or she could, I can hear Rachel now. And Spurs and Heat tied to the
All right, I do have a little bit of news. We did mention Galaxy S4. The Galaxy S4 actually has a camera version. I don't know, 10X. Check that puppy out.
Is that real?
That's real.
Well, it looks similar to the iPhone deal that they did before. Remember,
Right.
iPhone came with the lens you could put on there.
So if you're watching the podcast, there's a picture of it. It is actually pretty cool. I shortly thereafter saw an article. The number of S4 S4s is confusing to consumers and will cause them to not be happy. I actually disagree with
The
that.
number of what?
The number of S4s, because they have like an S4 that's Google based, like only Google, which I don't like. So it doesn't have the Samsung interface on top of it. They've got the S4 like I have. They have the S4 there with the camera, and then there's one other S4, and they're coming out with an S4 Mini, and so
Yeah.
I think it's not a bad deal. You know, it's they don't make as much money as Apple because they have to make so many devices, and if they're making money and they're providing stuff that we like I can kind of see this. If Sprint had a SIM card, it might be worth owning one of these.
Yep.
I'm heading out. I'm going on a vacation. I want my S4 camera phone
Yeah.
with me instead of just my S4. So that's pretty good. So we did get an email this week, and the email was from a Mr. Lancaster, and well, he wasn't very happy with us. Starts off, and I was kind of clued in early on because it started off with, "Damn it." That was my first clue that he wasn't happy with us. So he says, "Damn it, I have to say something. The podcast content is great," that's all caps, "but you really diminish your credibility when you say your mantra is, don't be a douche." Let's do that again.
Yeah. Don't be a douche.
We need to work on our,
Yeah, our
harmonies.
Yeah. I almost sing it. Don't be a douche.
That'd be good in a commercial. "I only come at this from a marketing standpoint. It doesn't offend me, but I can see women being turned off by this phrase, and it just sounds juvenile. You own a business, so start acting like it. Not trying to offend you because I do like the podcast, because he did say the content was great. Just trying to give you some feedback." First off, Mr. Lancaster, punch in the face. Thank you for the feedback.
Thank you
Absolutely.
for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you
Yes.
for saying it's great. I'm glad you appreciate our content.
Wow. And the first thing we did, because we had an interview with Rachel Parker this week, is we actually got her opinion on it. And she was like, "I'm not offended by it."
Yeah, frankly, she says the word douche frequently.
Yeah. So I think maybe it's a little bit of weight that you're carrying to that particular phrase, as opposed to what the general population considers. And you know, tit for tat. Professionally, you own a business. You shouldn't start an email with "damn it." I'm just saying.
Just saying.
I'm just saying. All right, little more piece of news. They have officially proclaimed that you cannot patent parts of the human genome. I think that's good. There's a lot of implications to that, both good and bad, actually. So if people are doing specific research on altering the genome to cure particular diseases, they're less likely to be able to protect that technology. So they're less likely.
Yeah,
to
because they
actually
can't
do
patent it.
research on it. So pros and cons. There is an SOS initiative, and I can't remember what the acronym is for. Basically, you can, I think in the early days, if you lost your cell phone, you weren't too worried because nobody could really do anything with it. Now, you know, they're whatever. You just take a cell phone and you go and you get it signed up.
Get it cracked, get it wiped, and get it. And now you have a new phone.
So it really shouldn't be that hard for the carriers to know, you know, who owns it, and for you to actually destroy your phone once it's gone.
Yeah,
So-
I wish my phone had a remote that I could just explode.
Yeah, explode.
Just make this phone blow up.
First you want it to ring, and then you want to hear hello, and
Then-
then you want it to explode.
Definitely.
Oh, so then you know who stole your phone. And then this last little piece of news is actually a pretty cool commercial comparing the Dell tablet to the iPad. and they did a really good job on this. So the first thing is there's a little zoom in feature, and that one wasn't very impressive. But the other one is they in the commercial they stick an SD card into the Dell tablet, and then as they go to put the SD card into the iPad, Siri says you can't put an SD card there. Or there.
Or there.
Or there. I just thought it was a great use of using Siri's voice in a commercial. Then, of course, they pull the tablets away, $5.99 versus $3.99.
Oh, okay, I saw that commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that commercial. Oh, and then the default says, well, is that the one where it says, well, do you want to play ding, 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 and it goes to the little piano?
No. That must be a different video, because this is real short. Because it was one pinch feature that the iPad didn't have.
Yeah, that wasn't Dell. That was Android.
Android
versus iPad.
Cool. So that's the news for today. That's all of our reviews and everything. And that's what's called the potatoes. Let's get to the meat.
Yeah, so I found an interesting article. This one was on Search Engine Journal. 7 killer landing page design tips to maximize your conversion ratio. Punch in the face to Manish for putting out the article a couple days ago. I read it, and
so 7 killer landing page
design tips. Yeah, killer landing page design tips. Stood out because we create landing pages and we drive traffic, and we're always looking to make sure that whatever page we land people on converts.
You know what? Maybe Mr. Lancaster is right. Maybe our mantra should be, every page is a landing page.
Well, we definitely going to get into that here, right? Because
Okay.
he addressed that. He talked about that. And so we'll get into it. Some of the things, like you know me now, some of the things I agree with, some of the things I don't, and I'll leave it up to you guys. So tip number one is navigation. He goes on to say that nothing is more important than making it easy for a user to find what they're looking for. Most advertisers send clicks straight to the home page. You shouldn't do that. Now,
I have a hard time thinking. There's a few cases
where
I just have a hard time thinking of what they are.
well, it's a few cases where sending to the home page is okay.
Right.
And then there are most cases, depending on the type of campaign, where you should have well, let me say this. When possible, you should create a custom landing page for whatever market you're targeting, whatever product, whatever that action is. If you're doing roofing and you're doing an ad campaign for roof replacement, then you should have a roof replacement landing page. However, if only thing you do is roofs, and let's say, and let me take this a step further, let's say you do roofing, siding, and windows, then you should not land people on your homepage with a paid campaign.
Yeah.
You should land people on that roofing campaign. However, if you only do roofing, that's all you do, then your homepage is probably designed extremely well to convert a roofing click. And at that point, I think it's okay to land somebody on your homepage because that's all you offer. So I think it really depends on your industry, what exactly you do, and how you need to, the best way for you to convert those clients. Number 2, images. I like what he put here on images. He lists out 4 different things about images, and we'll breeze through these. Number 1, make sure your images are meaningful. I totally agree. I hate going to a site that has, this is what I was telling you earlier, I hate going to a site that just has images as placeholders, basically, you know, because it looks good. Yeah, like make sure this image means something. I like custom. Wait till you guys see the new eWeb website coming. We took some images, some pictures, and Javier, our graphic artist and IT director, he really hooked them up. Custom images, I think they'll have a greater impact, and people recognize that they're not stock and that they have an actual purpose. Logical, make sure your images make sense, right? Again, if we're using that same example from earlier, if I'm landing you on a roofing page, I shouldn't have my siding images on that page. I should have my roofing, maybe before and after pictures or examples of damaged roofs and things like that. Those would be the images you see. Lastly, make sure those images are clean, right? You don't want any blurry or pixelated images and things like that. So, you know, images speak volumes. Tip number 3, content. A few steps about content. Number 1, make sure unique isn't enough. I totally agree with that. These days, it takes more than just having unique content. You know, everyone can take some time and write some creative content and make sure it's original, but that's not enough. I think your unique content needs to serve a purpose, Like, why is this content here? How is it going to help the reader? Answer those questions when you're writing that content. Now, here's one I disagree with. He put, forget SEO for now. And he's talking about content. And I understand the logic behind that statement. Like, he don't want you to think about keywords when you're writing the content because you're supposed to write for the user and all of this here. I get that. But you can't forget SEO. It's extremely important that you keep in mind the keywords you're looking for.
Let me add this.
Go ahead.
You are doing SEO even when you're forgetting it.
Yeah.
But when you're forgetting it, you're just probably doing it really poorly.
Yeah.
You are always doing SEO because you're always writing things that the search engines are going to be looking for. So you might as well do it consciously, accurately, and in a manner that's going to help you get your site on the first page.
No, I totally agree with the direction you're going in. You definitely don't want to write for the search. You want to write for the user. I get that, and that's extremely important. But
never forget it.
yeah, you can't forget. You have to make sure you have the right keywords and the right content in there, or that search will never find you, no matter how good your content is. So, keep SEO in mind. Right here, he says be neutral. You don't want to go for the hard sell. Man, I disagree with that as well.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the industry. It depends on your site. If you have a quick sale, like if I'm trying to get you to my site to, let's say, download a mixtape or something like that, I don't have time to schmooze you.
Yeah.
And I may give you one sales page that you hear one song, and the next option is download the mixtape.
And the only next option
It's download the mixtape,
Yeah.
But I think in a different case where maybe you have a longer sales process, or it requires some back and forth or a lot of information gathering from the client, then yeah, that would be stupid to go for a hard sell. You should go for soft pitches to capture information, which will lead to, which will turn into a lead that you can follow up with and go through your sales process. But if you're selling a product, this is an e-commerce site or something like that, there's no such thing as not going for the hard sale. I'm trying, especially from a PPC version.
Like, does not compute.
Yeah,
Does not
I
compute.
paid for this click. I need you to buy now, and so
The faster you buy, the more likely I am to pay for another click.
exactly. I like this one. It's all about the user. I totally agree with that. At the end of the day, the users are the ones who's clicking. Those are the ones who are paying. Those are the ones who are hopefully converting on your site. So always keep the user in mind when working with your content. I really like this one. Address concerns before the user has them. Definitely. That's sales 101. If you know what the first question is going to be when you approach somebody, go ahead and answer that question
Address it
before they
immediately.
ask it.
I mean, that's why we talk about unique selling propositions, right?
Definitely.
And some of them are BBB. Why is BBB valuable? Because the general consumer assumes that means you're in a credible business. The other thing to have is we've been in business for 40 years. There's a reasonable assumption that if you've been in business for 40 years, so those are some of the initial concerns that you have right away, and that's addressing.
Definitely. Tip number 4, a call to action. Everyone knows you need a call to action. I think it's key to make sure your call to action is well thought out. Make sure it's well thought out. Yeah, you seen them get me?
Yeah. You want to split that one?
make sure your CTA is well thought out. For example, using the previous example, if you're doing roof replacement, make sure do some competitive analysis. What are your competitors charging for a roof analysis? How long does it take? What can you offer? Take all of that in consideration when developing this call to action. So that way, when you put something out there, that visitor or that user who sees it can have a more educated decision in regards to choosing you to replace their roof or whatever your service is. Number 5, credentials and featured badges. I like this because this kind of goes towards credibility. Kind of what Chris was speaking about earlier, BBB and things like that. Especially online, people purchasing online, if they're not, like me or savvy internet users who always purchase online,
They're nervous as hell.
They're nervous, yeah, extremely nervous, and so you need to get them over that hump. And the way you do that is build your credibility. Especially when he mentioned a good way, like if your work or your products have been purchased by popular people or big names that users may be aware of, list that information on the site.
Get permission.
Yeah, get permission, definitely. Get listed on your site, if possible, link to it. so they could even see or feature it on your site somehow. So that way people are like, oh, okay, well, they used it and it worked for them. Then it must be okay.
Yep.
And then you see your BBB and your other things, and you're more likely to get that conversion.
Yep.
Number 6, and this is a huge for me, loading time. We talked about this last week when we were talking about site metrics and things like that. When your site just loads slow, your credibility is dwindling fast.
That's assuming we stay.
Exactly, exactly. I find myself waiting just to see what is this site, this
Yeah.
slow site gonna look like
Now,
when it comes
how
up.
bad is the site going to be?
Oh, it's really bad. Back,
Ooh.
you know, and Mr. Bounce. Number 7, and this is the last one. Roughly, he says number 7, responsive design. He's recommending responsive design. And he goes on to say roughly 15% of web traffic is on a tablet or a smartphone. 15%. So that's like 1.5 out of 10 people actually visit your site from a mobile device. And he recommends responsive design to take advantage of that. I'm on the fence with responsive design. I don't know if it's absolutely necessary. I mean, we've done plenty of tests. We've looked at phones. We pulled up sites on iPads, on mobile phones, and
Multiple,
on laptops and desktops. And the drawback to responsive design is
You have a little less control. Ultimately.
yes, and especially on the mobile device, everything kind of squishes and shifts, and now you end up with a really long page that kind of loses focus. Anybody searching from a mobile device is probably looking to take an action really quick, and so rather than do a responsive design, I would rather just have a mobile layout that's more suitable for that. Click to call, contact us here, or here's a map that opens up your navigation, because especially if they're on the phone, then they're trying to find you. And then maybe a link to a full version or something like that, where they could see all the other information that's on the site. But I think the responsive design kind of deal is, it's okay in some cases, but I don't think it's necessary all the time.
I struggle with just design specifically for mobile. If they're, I mean, most devices now have a big enough screen, and the zoom in and out feature is easy enough to use. And actually, the double click will bring the
make it bigger,
right
and
to the
automatically
paragraph
align
level.
it and everything.
All of that makes it so easy. You typically still want to have that navigation. You don't know what the user is looking for, and I just don't like the menus that show up on mobile. You know, our thought process is your mobile page should be call here, get directions, view full website, maybe a couple other things.
Yeah,
right?
maybe some other
A form,
information. Yeah,
get the newsletter or whatever. Submit a question if it's like our podcast page.
definitely. Again, and I think this is all industry based, right? If you're in an industry, let's say medical or something like that, where people are probably researching information and they're probably researching it on a mobile device because they're sitting in a doctor's office waiting in line or something like that, then you may want to do some responsive to help present some content better. But if you're looking for a quick sell, if your call to action or your main service is call or fill out a quote form
Or directions.
you have a brick and mortar building and you need people to come, design something for that to accomplish those goals.
Call, directions,
Call, click,
join
or
the
come.
list, and the other one is reviews.
Yeah, exactly.
Link to your G Plus local review. I mean, if you just do that and you're a brick and mortar restaurant, or almost most brick and mortar businesses, that's the information that I need to see.
That's the information I want.
I found you already somehow, right? From a search or whatever. So I have the general understanding that you do what I want. Now, get me to your business, or get me the short pieces of information that I probably want to convince myself to do business with you.
Definitely.
Could be a phone number, could be directions, could be reviews.
Exactly. At the end of the day, I think it's crucial that you take advantage of your landing pages, especially if you're paying to drive traffic to them. And you have to be aware of your industry and what your clients are doing. If you notice most of your clients come to your site and convert really quickly, then you should take that in consideration when working on a mobile layout or things like that. If they don't, then you have that information and you know how to go back and restructure what you need to work on. So that's the meat.
Cool. All right. I think we got a little blank stare.
Got a little blank stare.
Really?
Got a little blank stare.
Maybe we should just call this section like, what?
If we do that, you're gonna have to say it though each time.
What?
Yeah, we probably shouldn't do that. after seeing it twice.
Change that. All right. Well, that's the segment. Today it's going to be called
What? Yeah, blank stare with a grin. Yeah, this blank stare goes to Facebook. Punch in the face to Facebook for finally adopting hashtags, but
Really?
finally adopting hashtags. Like, I've been using hashtags on Facebook for the past 2 years.
Yeah. It just becomes habit, right? Like, oh, hashtag.
Yeah. So thank you, but come on, really, you should have been did it.
Jump on that. Quit working on messing up our layout. And I think searching is still a monster. Like if you sent me a book 6 months ago, I can't find it. You know what I'm saying? Like in Facebook, I got to scroll through 6 months of your feed or my
Whatever
wall or
to find
something
it.
somehow. Really, that should be pretty easy.
Let me tell you what else sucks about Facebook, since I'm on that soapbox. I hate looking at my home screen and seeing a post from you from 1 hour ago, a post that I made 17 hours ago, a post from Javier 3 weeks ago, and then the next post from somebody 5 seconds ago. Like,
That's out of order.
first off, I saw Javi's post 3 weeks ago. I saw your post
I
already.
ignored it for a reason.
Now, I already liked that post.
Yeah.
Like, why are you showing this to me again?
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right.
Need a little work. Okay, so don't work on the layout, work on the actual implementation, how it actually works, the usability. All right, you have been listening to the most popular internet and SEO podcast on iTunes. That is because of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please go write a review on iTunes or on our G Plus local page. Otherwise, I'm going to have a tattoo tier right here next time. Until next time, my name is Chris Burris.
Charles Lewis.
Bye-bye for now.